All right, folks, I'm gonna do some quick, easy bamboo brush piles. I've done some videos in the past where it's got, we do the cinder with bamboo. We do the cinder blocks and place each one in the holes of the cinder blocks and concrete them in, let them set overnight. These are a little quicker, easier. I've been dropping a lot of brush lately, and I'm just trying to add to some places. The ones I'm building right now are going to be in 15 foot of water. So I've cut this bamboo about 10 foot. It's actually about 11 foot. So in 15 foot, it's going to put me, about 4 foot or so from the surface, which on shallow water brush piles are pretty good. I believe that the taller they are, they get a little more sunshine rays down in there to them, and it'll heat that brush pile up, and I think they tend to like it more. So anyway, here's what I've done. All right, I pre-cut all my bamboos to 10 foot, or 10 to 11, and I've taken one piece of nylon, and these smaller bamboos, the shorter ones, are going to have a good set of limbs on each one to, I go around and I lace each one together at the base. That's just a starting way of holding them together. Then at the top, I take one piece of small nylon, right here, see that, and I've cut one. This is 5 stalks of bamboo, and so I've cut one small nylon, black tar nylon, probably about 8 foot long, and then I basically have laced, I leave about 1.5 foot or so in between each stalk, and I'll go around it, lace it around it 2 wraps, tie it off, and then I just go to the next one. I got about 1.5 foot, lace it around it twice, tie it off, and so on all the way across. And so what that's going to do is allow this thing to kind of fan out a little bit up top. Okay, so that's just your first kind of hold it together tie there. Then I've got another bigger rope, which I have a crab pot floater on. Now bamboo will float by itself, but eventually them stalks will take on water and it'll lay over on you. And so I want to try to keep them standing as long as possible. So I've got, I'm using crab pot floaters, and now I didn't catch that stalk there, but I tied off of that stalk. I got about probably 3 foot of line so that buoy can float up. And in this place you can use jugs or whatever you want to use there that floats. Most of the people use jugs. Then I'll come to the next stalk over. Now I'm leaving a big loop there so that buoy can pull upwards and keep it up. So I've tied off the next one, and then I do the same thing I did with the smaller nylon. I got about 1.5 foot, and all that is just a little extra security that these things are going to kind of stay together. If one line breaks, you got another one holding. So that's one tied together. I got one more. Now I cut this brush yesterday morning, so it's 24 hours old, starting to wilt a little bit. If you got access to some water, last night I put the butts of them down in the water and kind of keep them from wilting as bad on you. So if you got access to that's a good thing. Another thing is to, when I put them on my trailer right there, if I ain't gonna put them out right then, I'll spray the whole load down with water hose, saturate them down real good, and that'll slow the wilting process. So I'm using sandbags to tie these. To sink them. I've already got 2 sandbags filled up. They're ready to go. So I've got to tie one more together like I've just done this one, and then we'll go out and drop these. These crab pot buoys are really kind of nice. I think I buy them by the bags, and I want to say I pay, I don't know, 50 cents a piece, but they're there when you need them, and they're never going to fill up with water like some jugs are going to do, and they're not, you're not running around trying to find jugs. When I'm building, in the last week or so, I've probably built, I don't know, single drops like this at least 30 something to 40. So I'd be looking for 30 something to 40 jugs just in that amount of time. So these for me work better. If you're gonna just do a few, I'd say save your old bleach jugs and things like that and use them. So anyway, these are awesome because they've got this insert going through the middle of them, old plastic, hard plastic insert. So you just run your rope right through them, and I don't even tie a knot to that. I'm gonna tie about that far over on my two middle canes, and then that thing's gonna kind of pull upwards like that and float it. And there's no way that that is ever gonna tear out of there because of that little plastic insert. So they're pretty good for it. So anyway, now I'm just gonna lace this into the top just above that last piece of nylon that I put on. So I'm gonna find my two most middle pieces of stalks of cane, and that's gonna be my main towel. I'll leave a little bit on each side of that so I can grab one more cane on either side of it. Just help kind of bind this thing together a little better. Just in case that nylon ever breaks or breaks pretty quick. Eventually this whole brush pile is going to go to crap. You know, it's going to fall apart, leaves are going to come off, and it's not going to be as productive. So, but if that piece of small nylon broke, you know, within the first couple of weeks, and this whole thing would kind of try to start falling apart on you then. And so this is just a little extra security that this thing's going to kind of hold up down there for me as long as I need it to. Okay. Now I got my two most middle canes with about a few feet of slack there, so this buoy can float upwards, pull upwards and pull up like it's supposed to, keep this thing up. So I'm gonna take my extra little pigtail in. I'm gonna grab one more cane on either side of that, and I'm tying these just under some of these limbs, and so them limbs are pretty tough. You tie, all I'm doing is just tying square knots on everything, so them limbs are going to hold that, keep it from slipping up the stalk. All right, so that side is done. I'm gonna grab one more on this other side of it with this other little pigtail. Do the same thing. All right. So that's all laced together, got our floaters in it, our buoy, and so this one's ready to go on the boat, haul out and drop. But as you can tell, I think you can see this, once that sandbag's tied to the bottom, and then this floater buoy is going to kind of pull upwards for us, you know, and float that thing kind of like that. And the rest of this is able to fan out and kind of make a nice bushy, big area of brush pile. I'm gonna go ahead and load this on the boat. The good thing about these smaller brush piles, this is my nice boat, and I'm able just to stick them on the back, and they'll ride pretty good and really won't damage or mess up my boat. All right, that's it. We're ready to go out and drop them. Okay, two things I'm going to show you real quick before we go out. What I've done is I took about a 3 4-foot piece of nylon. And these particular bags here that I bought have a real weak tile string or whatever you want to call it on them. Most of them break while I'm trying to tie them. Some of them come, I used to get some that had like a heavy duty like plastic towel, and they were pretty strong and worked. But so what I'm doing with these old flimsy ones is I'm taking a piece of nylon and going ahead and tying it, and I'll do several wraps back both ways and tie it a couple of times. And the reason being, I'm gonna punch a hole right through up under this. I'm gonna punch a hole through two sides here, and I'm gonna run my big black rope that's gonna be our towel for sandbag towel through that. And then I usually leave a pigtail. Some things I do could be overkill, but I leave a longer pigtail of this, and so I'm gonna tie my big black rope into this. And the reason the black nylon is to keep that from being able to rip out through all of this with this cheaper towel they've got on the bag. So then I'll take this, the overkill could be, I'm gonna take this extra nylon I have, and I'm gonna also pull it up into my stalks and find a couple places around some limbs and stuff to tie that off too. Just a little extra security that bag's gonna stay attached. So I've got both these sandbags rigged up and ready like that. Okay, also taking a piece of my heavy rope, which is like a 5/8, I think, kind of a nylon plastic type rope. It doesn't tie that great, so you always want to leave plenty of extra to tie with, because you get too short of a piece and you can't get, I usually do a triple square knot in a lot of that. So anyway, here's where I did my first tie together to pull my bundles together with a smaller nylon. And as you can see, even with this black rope on here, my sandbag rope, it's still got tension on it. So this is another maybe anal overkill thing, is this one here you could almost do away with if you wanted to, because you're going to I put this one on there, and I'm doing the same thing I did here by wrapping all of this around each stalk several times and tying a number of knots, just cinching all this together. But my point being, as you can tell, that's still tight around all of them. There's tension there, even as tight as this is. So this is still doing some good to secure and hold all this together. Okay, so this was about a 4-foot piece, 4.5, 5 foot maybe. And I've done all my looping, knotting, and I've left these 2 long pigtails hanging here. And so the purpose of that is I'm gonna go through my holes and I'm gonna punch in each side of this, and then I'm gonna cinch that up to right up into here real tight and tie it off. And then I'll even take some of this extra that I'll end up with and do a few other loops and laps around the stalks, bind it all together. So anyway, I don't tie these on when I'm dropping brush in this style, tying things together like this. When I'm using bigger bamboo, I use some that's that big around, some big heavy stuff, big stuff. I'll literally take and lay the sandbag right in this area here and do about 2 ropes around it with a loop knot and cinch that real down tight right here. And that's just kind of how I do it. And I'll also do the same thing a lot of times with sandbags and like sweet gum. So anyway, here we go. We're gonna go drop this stuff. Okay, I'm at the location that I'm gonna drop this little shallow water brush, but I want to show you what I've got going on here. Now I'm scanning out to 70 foot, and you can see this drop. I'm gonna go a little deeper for you. You can see how fast I'm on a submerged point, underwater point, and I've already got fish around right there. Wait a minute. But anyway, so what I've got is I've got brush out there at 60, 70 foot and 20, 21 foot of water. Then I'm back up the rise a little bit to 20 to 30 foot from me, and I'm sitting in around 16, 17 foot of water on them 2 wads. Okay, so I'm backing up a little bit higher up on the hump right in here to where I'm going to be at around 15 foot or so, 14, and I'm going to drop them. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving them fish something. What I'm doing is creating kind of a habitat in this area with all this different depth of brush here. So no matter what depth they want to be at on this point, I've got brush there for them. Okay, a lot of times what'll happen too is we'll be fishing one and they'll get a little spooked, and all they're going to do is run. So that's only from this wad to that wad is only you know, say 30 foot. So they'll just leave us and run over this one, and we'll just kind of bump back and forth between the brush piles and keep picking them off. All right, so I'm gonna zoom back out, back in. Okay, so I'm about 20 foot from that group of brush that's in about 16, 17 foot of water. Got a big nice stump right there too. You can see brush on both sides. All right, so I'm gonna drop this brush. I'm gonna, let me see here. Yeah, I'm gonna drop this brush about right here in front of me here at about, looking right, probably gonna be around 14 foot. So here we go. Okay, so I've taken my big rope that was, I punched a hole through the top of the bag, through 2 spots right there. And I've taken the big rope, went through it, tied it off. That's already all laced together to my bamboo like we did earlier. Tied it off in a good square knot there. Then I brought the rest of my pigtails up, went around a couple of places there, tied that off again in another square knot. Then I took that extra nylon that I tied the bag up with good and went up and grabbed a couple of more. So it's pretty secure. All right, so we're fixing to go ahead and drop this. I'll put the camera on the screen here to where hopefully you can watch it go down. Pretty cool. Alright, so we're sitting in about 14, 15 foot of water, and hopefully it'll go right there where I want it. So here we go. Goes. Looking like it's gonna be probably about 14 foot. We built that brush 10 foot tall. You got big fish at the bottom of it. Big catfish. That's bass. 2 big old bass cruising around the bottom of that thing. A little shallower on my top than I want to be. I'm about probably 3 foot from the surface, but now the lake's 2 foot low right now still, so that's not going to be too bad. All right, so we can get the other one ready and go ahead and drop it. All right, so that's it. I just dropped the two brush piles that we just built. So I'm going to show you right here kind of what we've done on the map. What this is an underwater ridge, real long underwater ridge here, and a point. So I found the point to where it drops off the quickest right here on this point. And these points on these underwater ridges are just natural fish attractants. The problem was there was nothing here to hold them. See, there was no structure here other than a couple of big stumps before I started dropping this brush. Now, I dropped this out here over a year ago, some sweet gums, and I did just add 1 tall bamboo wad to it. And then day before yesterday, I dropped the 2 that I showed you earlier. and then I just now dropped 2 more. So I'm starting back here about right here where I'm sitting now in about 14, 15 foot of water. Then I bump out to about 17, 18 foot of water. So I dropped them 2 there. I bump out 17, 18 foot. I drop 2 more, and then I bump out here to about 21 or so foot of water. And I've got some last year 2 big drops of sweet gum and also some bamboo there. So I've got this whole point covered. No matter what depth they want to be at, there's plenty of brush at all different depths for them to want to hang up on. So what happens is these fish are going to travel this underwater ridge, and that way they've got access to shallow water. See, within a period of about 200 foot right here, we go from 3 foot out to this area in here is going to be about 23 foot. So this is just a really prime spot to build yourself a brush pile. So there you go. I think it's going to be a sweet spot for us this May and June. So I'm going to show you one more time what we're looking at on this. I don't know if I was recording. So what we've got, I'm spanned out there right now at about 90, 100 foot. Okay, so I'm going from up here at about 12 foot deep right in front of me. As you can see, we got these brush piles we just dropped in about 13 foot of water. Okay, and then we got another one out there just a tad deeper. That's one of the ones we just dropped. So I got one right here, span a little bit. There's another one there a little further down that drop. And keep this thing on here for you. You can see the fall in the bottom of the lake right there real fast. All right, so then out there about 30 foot from us, we got another one I just dropped a couple days ago. 10 foot past it, I got a big fat old stump there with another one beside it. Okay, then we're gonna jump out there about another 30 foot, and that's the old sweet gum and one of my new bamboos I dropped about a week and a half ago. So I got this whole point here covered in any depths. So this is going to be, I believe, a sweet spot for them. We caught a lot of fish just on that group. A couple sweet gum drops I had out there last year. So really liking the way this looks. Anyway, hope that helps you out. That's just a quick way to get some brush in the lake. I do brush a whole bunch of different ways. Some's a lot more time consuming than others. This here is kind of your quicker way what we did today, just to get you a bunch of brush in the lake. So appreciate you watching, appreciate you supporting our channel. If you hadn't already done so, I ask that you hit subscribe and follow our page and what we got going on, and we're going to be bringing a lot more to you. I appreciate you. God bless you. Give God all the glory. We'll catch you on the next go around.